Let's talk about a movie that's
Probably
more on the
just
fun
pure
side
fun.
of artsy, I would say.
I wouldn't say this film is very art house at all. It's
Not at all,
definitely
I think.
it's definitely a blockbuster, fun horror comedy.
Yeah. So this is Handsome Guys, 2024 South Korean black comedy horror, written and directed by Nam Dong-hyeop.
Yes, who I don't think I've seen any of his other work.
No. I think this movie definitely feels like a little bit slapped together, but in a good way, kind of thing. You know, like a lot of South Korean productions kind of fall by the wayside because their media output is so large, right? And I feel like this is probably going to be one of those types of films.
Yeah.
Which is not to say that it's bad. I quite enjoyed this film.
Yeah, I mean, it got an Australian release, so like I'm assuming that there's some kind of excitement or, some investment. Yeah.
Was there anybody in your showing when you went to see it?
Yeah, not as packed as Lan Ma, but like there were quite a few. It was like I would say half full.
Oh, okay. That's not bad.
Yeah.
There were like four people in my showing. four Korean people.
Yeah. No, it was pretty, it was pretty decently full. I think I saw this movie at like 6 o'clock at Melbourne Central.
Okay.
And so people get off work and people had a lot of fun in my theater.
Should we do full spoilers for this film, you reckon? Or do it?
Yeah, I reckon this is a full spoiler movie.
Yeah, okay. It's a lot of fun. If you've seen 2010's Canadian horror comedy Tucker and Dale versus Evil, this is a remake of that.
It is. Yeah.
And it is, for a lot of it is pretty much a one-to-one replica. But there is one pretty decisive difference in Handsome Guys. So if you are planning on seeing it, maybe go see it before coming back to this, because we're going to do full spoilers for this review.
Yeah.
Do you want to do a little bit of plot?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's basically the premise of the movie is that, I guess for both movies, is that there's two misunderstood country guys or hillbillies who a group of teenagers kind of come across, and then they assume that they are like vicious serial killers.
Because of how they look.
But they are just normal guys. And through a series of misunderstandings and accidents, the students end up getting killed, and most of the blame goes to our lead characters in both movies, and hijinks ensue, really. But there's some genre difference, I suppose, in Handsome Guys. It has more of a Raimi style supernatural element to it.
Yes.
Whereas Tucker and Dale is much more the slasher 80s flick. Yeah. But it's interesting because I first saw the trailer for this movie. And I'm like, this really looks like Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Because I had no idea about anything about this remake. I had not heard that this movie was being remade at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's not often that you see an Asian remake of a Western film. Like I think this might be the first one that we've actually covered on this podcast. Potentially.
And I was curious because I always give a lot of shit.
Usually it's the other way around.
I give a lot of shit to American remakes of Asian productions, and a lot of my gripe with that is it's usually dumbed down because I'm going to talk about Tale of Two Sisters and The Uninvited, which is one of the worst movies ever made.
No.
It's like they've taken this really beautiful art house horror movie and turned it into just a dumb summer blockbuster movie that has no substance.
Yes.
But
we talked about The Killer.
Fucking hell. That fucking movie. But Tucker and Dale, the premise is that the killers are not actually killers. They're not killers at all. They're just normal guys. So
if you haven't seen Tucker and Dale, I would recommend it. I think that movie's a lot of fun.
It's really funny.
We recently rewatched it for this episode, but it does hold up. It's got Alan Tudyk in it, which is always fun. If it's in a good turn. We will go a bit more into the differences between these two films, but essentially it is Tucker and Dale being mistaken for hillbilly serial killers by this group of unlikable teens. I guess the joy of it is, the comedic element of the misunderstandings, which carries on in Handsome Guys as well.
Yeah. I think the big thing I wanted to see was whether or not the Korean version is going to be bad. compared to because I quite like Tucker and Dale versus Evil. I think the Korean version, it's pretty fun. It's pretty good. It captures like the same spirit as the original Tucker and Dale.
Yeah.
And I think there are some elements that it has improved on, but I think there are elements in Tucker and Dale that are better than Handsome Guys as well.
Okay.
So maybe we can even just do like a comparison, like the leads and the side characters and even the I guess the violence at some point, and even the shift of supernatural elements in Handsome Guys. Yeah.
So the opening is fairly similar. You know, the two lead characters, Jae-pil, who is played by Lee Sung-min, and Sang-gu, who is played by Lee Hee-joon, who we've previously seen in Badland Hunters.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was
the bad guy in Badland Hunters, which was also a really fun.
Is he the bad guy?
He's the bad guy, yeah. Really fun performance in that movie.
Yeah, it was a really fun performance.
In that movie that nobody seemed to watch. They're introduced as these two, I guess they're brothers in this, or are they just mates? Can't remember.
Yeah, actually, I think they're just mates.
He calls him Hyung, but I think they are just friends. Yeah, really close friends.
Yeah, I think they're just friends.
Yeah.
Are they brothers in the first one, or Tucker and Dale brothers?
They're just mates in the first one as well.
Yeah.
Tucker and Dale.
Okay.
So they're essentially the same kinds of characters. They look mean and scary on the outside, but they're really soft and nice on the inside. But you know, they come across these teens, or in this case, college students, I think.
They're college students.
I think that in both cases, they're college students, actually. And these college students, they look at them, and judging from their outwards appearance, they just assume that they're serial killers.
One of them played by Jung-ah from XCID, who I noticed, like, this chick looks really familiar as well.
We recently saw her in Mask Girl.
Who had a much significantly lesser role. Because there's only two girls in this movie, and she plays, like, the more unlikable character. But I recognize there is kind of like a lead girl.
Yeah. This character, Mina, played by Gong Seung-yeon. Yeah. She looks really familiar. What is she? What is she from?
I saw her in this movie called Aloners a little while back. But that's kind of just like an indie drama where she plays like an office lady who is sort of very downtrodden and just going through the flow. And it's got to teach like a younger person. But that kind of shit.
Yeah. But the cast of younger characters, they're all pretty similar to the Tucker and Dale predecessors. Bunch of frat boys. I think the lead, the main, the leader of the pack, the character's name in Handsome Guys is Lee Sung-bin. So he plays a professional golfer, or like an aspiring professional golfer in Handsome Guys. Whereas in Tucker and Dale, the leader is not that. He's not a professional athlete. He's just a dude, right? But this character difference between the main, I'm going to call him a villain, because I guess he is a villain.
He becomes the villain by the end of the movie.
It kind of comes into play because in Tucker and Dale, the reason that they want to rescue their friend from who they think are the serial killers, it's pretty righteous, I guess. Like, they legitimately think she's in danger, so they legitimately want to try to save her. With an element of, like, the main guy kind of wants to do it for the thrill of it, I guess.
Because he's basically evil at this point.
He's a really fun character in Tucker and Dale. I'll probably talk about that a bit later. But in Handsome Guys, the character of Lee Sung-bin, he's really not a nice bloke. He's like, he's kind of like a sungri type of guy.
I was going to say he's whatever that scandal is called. He's that kind of guy. So that's the kind of the Korean element to it.
Yeah, so the reason he wants to go save Mina is because she has his phone, which has a lot of incriminating evidence on it. And that's the reason, like, all his friends want to try and save her as well.
It's interesting between, I guess, like, in terms of the side characters, and I guess Mina is the equivalent of Allison in Tucker and Dale. In both movies, she's accidentally, like, not kidnapped, but she's like, she knocks herself unconscious in both situations, and then she wakes up in the house of Jae-pil and Sang-gu, or Tucker and Dale, respectively, and she's like unconscious, and she basically forms a bond with Sang-gu. And I think in this movie, I feel like that relationship is actually better in Handsome Guys.
It's less pervy, for sure.
It's less pervy, but it feels more like there's more built upon it, I guess. And it feels natural. You can kind of see their chemistry is a bit better, where it's just like, oh, yeah. She is, Allison is in the first one, but not really that much. She spends most of it like knocked unconscious. But going back to the two villains of the movie, I think Tucker and Dale does it better because there's a bit of a clearer message in Tucker and Dale, where the Handsome Guys, you said, it's a bit more slapdash. It's just like, let's put some supernatural elements in there. Let's put, the Sungri element in there.
I don't mind the idea of the Sungri element. I think it it's a kind of good justification for this cast of pretty unlikable people to try to help their friend Mina. It kind of undercuts a little bit of the comedy when the kids start getting killed, because in Tucker and Dale, like, the kids aren't that bad people, the majority of them. So when they get killed, it's kind of funny. Whereas in this one, it is funny, because like they are quite unlikable, these kids. When they get killed, maybe it's a little less funny. That said, I will say that the slapstick elements all work for me, I think. Like, I think the kind of comedy in Tucker and Dale translates really well to Korean slapstick comedy.
It really does. I mean, we've got our boy Jung Gi-soo.
Yes, Park Ji-hwan playing
who has a much bigger role. There is a cop in the first one as well, but when I saw him, I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be a funny movie.
Like, both of the cops work well together. Lee Kyu-hyung is also playing like the deputy, I guess. Sang-kyung. We saw him in All of Us Are Dead, where I think he also played a cop in that.
There's a really funny. It kind of feels a bit forced in Handsome Guys, but I thought it was still really funny. There's like a bit where the students are sort of spying on the house to see if Mina is okay, and then they see her. She's like, it looks like she's screaming from getting choked out by Sang-gu. And it's like, oh my god, like he's killing her, but they're just arguing like over soap. Which is just like, I can't ever really see that situation, but the angle and the framing of it was just really funny. I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. It's like, it's cute, but it's also like really silly at the same time. So yeah, I enjoyed that particular shot.
I thought you were going to talk about the bit where Jae-pil cuts into the wasp nest, or the beehive. I mean, that scene works in both movies really well.
Yeah, that scene works in both.
Alan Tudyk is really good in Tucker and Dale.
Because you were saying, like, the humor works well because Koreans are really good at slapstick humor based on actions. And a lot of Tucker and Dale really utilizes that well. So I think in a sense that like this as a remake works pretty well because they've kept like the essence of what Tucker and Dale is. It's kind of like a silly slapstick play on like an 80s horror movie, just with a newer element added. I will have to say, though, what I didn't particularly like so much in Handsome Guys is the violence is definitely like toned down from Tucker and Dale, which kind of loses that comedic aspect as well for me, because a lot of the deaths are quite grisly in Tucker and Dale. Even though it's still like quite fun to watch, it's still like not as high impact in Handsome Guys, which I'm surprised.
I guess an example is in both movies there's a scene where a guy jumps headfirst into a wood chipper, right? And
it's really funny.
In Tucker and Dale, like later on, they're trying to extract the bottom half of the corpse out of the wood chipper, and like they managed to do it, but like the legs and disembodied torso kind of get dragged along Dale, and like you see like the corpse, I guess, the mutilated corpse. Whereas I think in Handsome Guys, from memory, you don't really get to see that.
You don't really.
It's definitely not as grisly.
Yeah, and even with because like the death of the ex-CID girl, it's similar to the guy in the first movie, who is just running and just not looking properly and runs into whereas this one, it seems like it's a bit more like, I mean, you see the thing like fall off, but you don't see it like pierce through her. It's just like it's just edited away. So they combined like those two deaths into one thing. Whereas like it's just a lot more sillier in like the first one, because that shot of him just like free looking at at Tucker while he's like chasing him with a chainsaw. It's really funny. I think in the first one there's more teens.
Yeah, there are more teens.
Yeah. I feel like in Handsome Guys, having less teens probably does work a bit more, because there is a little bit of development, because there's this one dude who I actually quite enjoyed in Handsome Guys who hates like the villain.
Oh yeah.
He's like and he's like trying to screw him over. He's like, this fucking guy.
He's like the simp of the group, I guess. Yeah. He's the beta that
So
they get to do their errands.
And I like that element of him just really hating this guy, even though it probably doesn't really go.
Yeah, the payoff
anywhere.
is not that good, because he just like,
but the setup is funny.
Yeah, the setup is really funny. I think all of the character interactions are probably a bit stronger in Handsome Guys in general.
Yeah, I think that's the case. Yeah.
So it might be an acting thing, because Tucker and Dale is quite low budget, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, not to kind of disparage the actors in that, but they all seem like pretty new actors, I guess.
Yeah. Well, going for that slasher, you're not trying to get the best actors.
You're not going for Oscars,
yeah.
But I think just because in Handsome Guys, just because of the sheer volume of Korean actors that they have to choose from, I think maybe they're getting a bit more bang for their buck in terms of performances.
But I will have to say though, on like increasing the time that we get to like even the unlikable characters in Handsome Guy, I feel like the bromance is a lot stronger in Tucker and Dale.
Okay.
I feel like it's not as prominent in Handsome Guys, because there is a lot more time with Sang-gu that he spends with Mina.
Yeah, okay.
So their relationship is built. Yeah. Whereas in Tucker and Dale, they're the focus of the movie, which is probably it's where it should be, because they are heroes, right? So you don't really feel as much for like Jae-pil, whereas some stuff that happens to Tucker in the first movie, it's pretty grisly, especially when like the villain is like torturing him, like cutting his fingers off. It's like, damn, man. Whereas in this one, like not too much is happening to him, and in terms of its title, Handsome Guys, the leads might actually be a bit too handsome to be like judged as serial killers.
Well, probably Hee-joon is. Sung-min,
Whereas Tucker and Dale, they actually look like you're not gonna like fuck around with them, especially their expressions at the start of the movie where they're just like he's like kind of just maniacally laughing because he's awkward. They're both done pretty well, but I buy it a bit more in Tucker and Dale because I think I'm used to the hillbilly, like the psycho hillbilly look. So it is quite funny.
I think in Handsome Guys, they're going for more like a I Saw the Devil style kind of killer.
I think so,
which we haven't been exposed to as much as, the hillbilly archetype, I guess.
I mean, given the Korean beauty standards in the movie industry over there, even amongst the guys, you're trying to make your guys look like killers and they're still like, they're handsome guys. Like, I think they were pretty handsome guys throughout the whole movie. So, they didn't have a big issue with that. Yeah.
I guess we should talk about the major change in Handsome Guys, which is, as you've mentioned, the occult element. So, So from the opening scene, we get to see some occult stuff happening, right? Like the movie kind of opens with them, the college students hitting a goat with their car, right?
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen in Tucker and Dale versus Evil. No. And this goat kind of kickstarts a chain reaction of a satanic ritual. So it turns out that the cabin that the Handsome Guys are renovating was once the site of some kind of exorcism, right? That went slightly wrong.
Yeah. It's very Evil Dead,
yes,
I guess.
Yeah, which makes sense on paper because I do think like that cabin in the woods situation is probably more leaning towards an occult story than a grounded story. Because like you said, Evil Dead, I mean, there's the movie Cabin in the Woods, you know what I mean? So, but as the story progresses and the young people are kind of killed off, they contribute like their sacrifices to this satanic ritual that eventually lets out a demon in the climax of the film, a demon that possesses the body of the main antagonist, Sung-bin. So it gets to a point where it goes fully Evil Dead. I think probably just at the start of the third act is when this
I
happens.
would say so. I mean, we see like the corpse of Jang Il-soo, who's like, he dies the same way as the first cop.
Yeah.
It's just like a broken beam like slams into his head.
Yeah.
And he does become like ghoulified or zombified, however.
It's really funny though.
It's really funny. He does like this really like silly looking dance.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's really dumb.
It's the Koreans' body slapstick that is doing a lot of the heavy
really
lifting there. But this is where it takes a massive departure from Tucker and Dale's
How did you feel about like this element?
I wasn't totally opposed to it. I think initially when I watched Handsome Guys, I'm like, oh, why did they change this? It didn't seem like something that needed to be changed. But then I went back and watched Tucker and Dale versus Evil. And I do feel like the third act of Tucker and Dale is a little bit weak. And it does feel like it is missing something. So for context, if you haven't seen Tucker and Dale and for some reason are listening to this, I don't know how you're able to follow it. But in Tucker and Dale, the third act, so it is a completely grounded story. There's no supernatural elements. So when the cabin eventually kind of explodes, the main antagonist, he just turns into kind of like a scarred psychopathic killer that kidnaps the girl, and then it's up to Dale to go save the girl with like a chainsaw fight or something, or whatever happens in that film. It kind of felt a bit draggy to me. Like it was just kind of missing a little bit of impact, I feel like. Whereas in Handsome Guys, because there's so much silly stuff happening, maybe I felt a bit more engaged. But yeah, it is at the same time pretty messy. It does make the whole story kind of a bit messier. So to answer your question, I'm a bit mixed on it. But what did you think about it?
I would say that I'm mixed on it as well, but I would say my opinion of the climax in Tucker and Dale is actually stronger than this one because it's messy in Tucker and Dale because they've got like these extra students, right? And they haven't thought of a really creative death for them.
Sure.
So they kind of just have to kill them quite quickly in a confrontation. But the sole focus is that it is the villain who, in his self-righteousness, he has become like so evil that he's like blind to it. And I think like that movie's message is a bit stronger in that sense, where it's just like there is just evil. Like evil can be in the form of someone that is, you know, just normal.
I mean, that guy was never really normal though in that film. He was always kind of like American Psycho-ish.
But it's like these like psychopathic tendencies.
But then there's a reveal as well that it's because he has hillbilly parents or hillbilly parents, hillbilly blood in him. So that's a bit like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bit mixed, but I think it's just saying that it's like you are just as evil as how you want to feel, and you can't like really sort of like justify your actions or whatever. But I feel like the focus where he is still the villain out and out it's stronger. Whereas in Handsome Guys, just giving it to some like devil dude, it's kind of like, it's kind of the same as in Shang-Chi, where Tony Leung's character should have been like the main force that's like building up to this really, I guess, emotional climax. Was it, we gotta have a big dragon fight. So
it is a bit of a shame.
The spectacle is fun, and I did like the very Raimi like goat, like when it possesses people, you see people like running on all fours, but it's obviously done in a very kind of like a janky, cheap way that actually makes it like look funny. And it is quite fun to watch as well. And I do like how the three of them kind of team up and try to take this goat demon down. And I thought it was pretty funny with Jang Il-soo's cop buddy whose just pants are just constantly on fire or something. It's just like,
I like the introduction of like the priest character who comes back for a heroic moment but just gets wrecked.
And it's funny how there's like an exorcism for one of the. It goes back to the past, and then it was like this English priest is explaining to this guy what he has to do.
Yeah.
the guy's like, I don't speak English. It's like, Korean, please. Even though he does kind of figure a way
and
out.
the guy just leaves.
He just leaves because it's just like it looks more cinematic. Yeah. And I did actually find it pretty cool when in Handsome Guys there's like this golden revolver bullet that can only kill the demon, and like through like, you know, a series of circumstances it's broken, but then like Mina's the one that has to like find it and pick it up, and then it kind of leads up to it because she attaches it to like this nail gun. You know, she spent time with Sang-gu, and it's kind of like a cute moment, but then she kind of has her like badass action movie star moment where I'm not sure if she says a witty line, but it just looks cool. Like, you know, she just attaches the bullet to it. Yeah, headshots the demon. Yeah, it's fun, you know. So I didn't mind that, but yeah, I just feel like it's a little bit tacked on, and because the occult element, I guess what they were supposedly trying to do is remake Tucker and Dale, but give it like a Korean spin. But it's still very much a Christian feeling demon.
But like you said, it is called also kind of a homage to The Evil Dead.
Yeah.
The setting.
So I think I think he really wanted to really liked Evil Dead. It might have been, maybe, I'm not sure if it's overdone or not, or maybe he just didn't want to do it that way. But like, if there was kind of this more Korean occult style worth of
Exuma.
I mean, Korean, Exuma style, it might have made a little bit more sense.
Oh yeah,
but
if the priest was a shaman instead, that would have been pretty fun.
Yeah. But like, I think doing that, I feel like, because there's been so many of those Korean movies where there's a shaman.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of Christians in Korea as well. So
there's like Christians. There's a lot of Christians as well. So I have a feeling that the director was probably like, I don't want to do another fucking Korean, because it does kind of pigeonhole you, I guess.
And it is just kind of the movie is more of an homage to Western horror tropes as well than Korean horror tropes.
Yeah, I think so. But like, I don't know. I might have preferred the Korean if they just gave it that little bit of extra like kimchi kimbap taste to it. Then it might have been like a bit more culturally relevant. But I don't think the guy was going for that. I think at the end of the day, what they were trying to make was just a really fun movie. Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, they succeeded in it, you know? Like, I'm not really sure which one I like better, because I kind of enjoyed both of them. I think I probably like Tucker and Dale just a little bit more because it kind of was a bit more concise, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I think I wouldn't say Tucker and Dale has graphic violence, but it does have some pretty like strong gore moments, which I think is lacking in the second one. I think probably what's better in Handsome Guys is the characters overall are better.
Yeah.
And some of the relationships are better in Handsome Guys, whereas Tucker and Dale, its focus on its key characters is a bit better, I suppose, as well. So I'm not sure which one you would go for. I mean,
it's probably a matter of taste, really. Like if you don't want to read subtitles, I guess watch Tucker and Dale.
Watch Tucker and Dale.
Because they are pretty similar at the end of the day.
They're very similar.
You know, like you get it. It's the same concept. I do agree with you that it is a bit of a waste building up Lee Sung-bin as an antagonist, only to have a goat possess him at the end of the day. So maybe that could have been handled better. But yeah, I'm not totally opposed to the idea of adding occult elements to this story.
Yeah. Because I think it still had a lot of fun. It kind of made the movie a bit longer, but like it never felt like it was boring. And all the stuff that is explained in the occult elements and all the stuff that is shown, it's still enjoyable. It's still funny.
And Park Ji-hwan adds a lot.
Yeah.
Just put him in everything, I reckon. He's always
He's
gold.
really... Every time I see that guy's face, I just have to laugh.
Because the cop in Tucker and Dale is kind of a nothing character. Like he meets the same end.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But like in
he's
this,
just the guy,
in Handsome Guys, there's like a through line.
Well, I think that's probably the benefit of... I assume Handsome Guys had a bigger budget than Tucker and Dale.
Yeah.
Because I think Lee Sung-min, Lee Hee-joon are probably veteran actors, and I think they've been in a lot of stuff. And obviously, Park Ji-won's been in a lot of stuff as well. So there's a lot more like
Alan Tudyk's been in a lot of stuff.
I mean, like Alan Tudyk is. I've seen him.
Alan Tudyk went to Juilliard, Tavi. Did you know that?
Oh yeah. Alan Tudyk is pretty funny. Yeah, but everyone else, I'm not sure who I've seen in other movies.
Yeah.
So it's just I'm just having a look at Jesse Moss as Chad.
Yeah.
As the main villain. He's in The Uninvited.
Oh, okay.
So he's in one of the worst movies ever made.
I wonder how he feels about remakes.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Oh man, The Uninvited, horrible movie. But yeah, no, it's a bit of fun. Like I'm not sure if I've got that much more to say. Like
I think that's good. I think Handsome Guys, bit of fun. I don't know if watching both of these versions is necessary. It's probably just a one or the other situation. But this one is newer, so if you like newer stuff, then go watch this one.
Yeah, I think as a remake, it was successful, and I don't want to just be like, if it's a Korean remake, but you hate remakes so much, why don't you hate this one? I think it's a good remake because
it's good.
It's basically the same. It adds some new elements, but it doesn't detract like too much. It's not insulting to the original one. I think
captures the spirit of it.
Yeah. It's not it's not dumbing down anything.
It's the same cannot be said for a lot, not all, but a lot of Western remakes of Asian movies.
I mean, have you seen the Western remake of Shudder? Because I haven't seen it yet.
No, I haven't. That's got named Joshua Jackson in it, right?
Yeah. Jessica Alba. She's been a little bit tainted ever since.
Does Shudder have?
She was Shudder. Jessica Alba's in that one as well. Actually, no. I might be wrong. I think I'm wrong. Actually, I don't know. No, I'm thinking of it was that Australian chick that's in
Rachel Taylor
the remake. Yeah. My bad. Jessica Alba.
Yeah, Jessica Alba was in The Eye.
Jessica Alba was in The Eye.
Also, I think it was okay as a remake. It was not the worst one, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Old Boy is the worst one.
Yeah. I mean, depending on whether or not this is released before or after, you will see us again in our Killer remake.
Oh yeah, that's probably the worst one.
Versus. We haven't seen it yet at this point, but it's probably the worst one.
That's probably the worst one.
It's probably the worst one.
I'd be really surprised if the remake of The Killer captures the spirit of the original.
I would be so surprised.
Although it does have John Woo at the helm, if that counts for anything.
I might have to watch it with Boone over drinks or something, because I think I would be too sad watching it on my own.
Yeah.
I think I need some reinforcements. I need to complain to someone while I'm watching it. I need to be there and just sit there and groan and be a massive pain to whoever's watching the movie with me.
That sounds like fun for everyone.
Yeah, it is. It is quite fun.
Well, I think that's us for Handsome Guys, yeah?
Yeah, I think that's it.
All right, but what did you think of this movie, guys? If you've seen it, did you prefer this one or did you prefer Tucker and Dale versus Evil? Let us know. You can get in touch with us at twoasianblokes@gmail.com. You can join our Facebook group to be part of the conversation, or you can follow us on Instagram at twoasianblokes to see what we're up to. Look forward to our The Killer episode, either coming soon or already past.
Oh my God.
It's going to be very bitter.
It'd be funny if we actually liked
Imagine
that
if it was good. Imagine, Darby, if it was good. I would love it, actually. But
it'll I don't think I'm prepared to eat my words yet. I haven't put the words MSG like on the counter yet, but we'll see how we go.
If it is good, we can still complain about the marketing behind it.
Yeah, but it'll be bad, so we'll be fine. We can still complain. Look forward to a negative review because people like negativity, and that's how the internet is won. But until then, we'll see you later.
Bye-bye.